Hey, excuse me, what are you listening to?
10 hours of screaming and farting.
What? Okay.
Hello everybody, my name is Kingnusmi. Last week, I asked you guys which episode of Creeped Out you guys would like to see me talk about, and you guys voted for Bravery Badge. I haven't talked about Creeped Out in a few weeks, so I'm excited to check it out. And for those of you guys who don't know what Creeped Out is a children's anthology horror show. It aired on the CBBC in the UK and aired on the Family Channel in Canada, and it's on Netflix for the US and the rest of the world. It only has 2 seasons with 23 total episodes, which is very depressing to me. But today we're going to be looking at Bravery Badge, which is the 7th episode in the series, but the 4th one on Netflix for some reason. And that's enough yapping, let's get into the episode. And we start this episode with our favorite little guy, the Curious. He's hanging out by himself in the woods and he's making himself a little Blair Witch stick man. He does this while the narrator asks, do you get that feeling when something gets stuck in your head? I do, all the time. Even yesterday, I had that song from the Fallout series, the bongo bongo bongo, I don't wanna leave the jungle, no 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 no. I had that stuck in my head all day. The narrator asks, what if it was actually stuck and there was no way to get it out? Then we get a cool little title card. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Dead Meat recently. We start the episode deep in the Britain forest. We also get a glimpse of the Girl Scouts we're going to be following throughout this episode. They're known as the Hedgehog Rangers, and our main character, Dent, is one of them. Yeah, her name is Dent. Like a dent in your car? Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And they make it pretty obvious that Dent doesn't want to be there. She's very rude and tries her best to ignore everybody at camp by listening to some music. Dent gets paired up with Janie, who is the complete opposite of her. Janie is the second in command behind leader Paxton. She has the most badges out of every girl, which she kind of uses as a status symbol. And I can prove this because right when she meets Dent, she points out that Dent doesn't have any badges.
Oh wow, your uniform, so blank.
And I'm being so serious when I say that she just couldn't fathom how Dent didn't have any badges.
No badges, not what?
She has a major issue with this, so she goes to leader Paxton and talks to her about how she doesn't even have the Bravery Badge. Luckily, Paxton is a nice lady, and she tells Janie that some people have to start somewhere. Just because she doesn't have a badge now doesn't mean she won't have one when we finish. And now that everybody is ready, they can start hiking to the camp. They start hiking down Anasial Valley Trail, which Dent says translates to Death Trail.
What does Anasiel mean? Death.
But apparently that's not what it means. Actually, it actually means madness. So they're on the Madness Trail, which is quite fitting for the episode. If only they looked at the back of the sign, though. On a real note, who wrote "Turn Back Now" on the back of the sign? You know, the part where people can't see it? That night, all the girls are surrounding a campfire while Janie tries to suffocate Dent using bug spray. Janie talks about how nature is our best friend and we need to do everything we can to take care of it, which I can agree. I don't think anybody will disagree about that. But spraying a whole can of bug spray on yourself might not be good for other people's lungs. Do you think about that? Anyways, the girls get called to the campfire so they can tell spooky stories. Leader Paxton tells a story about the campsite that they're at currently. Talks about how all the trails and campsites are all super overgrown because nobody has been there in a long time. No one has even dared camp in those woods. Right now, they're in the most remote part of Britain. And rumor has it that there are some things this deep in the woods that have not been discovered yet. And there might be some things that should never be discovered. But they are there, hidden and watching. And people have tried to venture deeper into the woods, but the ones that have tried never make it back.
Right then, Rangers. Bed.
Paxton, I don't know if that was a complete sentence. This story absolutely freaks some of the girls out. The girls try to go to bed that night, but this girl, Jo, is still super freaked out about the story. So Janie makes her a homemade nightlight, which causes Dent to ask her,
Were you like born in a tree?
And Janie can tell that Dent really isn't into the Hedgehog Ranger stuff. She doesn't like the badges or the camping or really anything that they do. So she asks her,
Why are you even here?
Turns out Dent has a shitty parent. I had a nickel for every shitty parent was in one of these shows. I'd probably be rich by now. Dent's mom sent her on this camping trip because she wanted to go on a cruise that does not allow kids.
So, here I am, in a tent, with you. Yay.
This is when Janie tries to reach out a little bit, be friendly to Dent, even telling her that there are badges for making music if she really is interested. But she's just met by more sass by Dent.
Is there a badge for be mute? Maybe you could try for that bad boy.
This is when a girl named Arlene gets up to go use the bathroom. But little Jo is very scared for her.
Not in the woods, not alone.
Arlene assures little Jo that she'll be all right, but not without scaring her a little bit.
I'll be right back.
As Arlene's trying to find a secluded spot to do her business, she hears a slight humming coming from somewhere. It almost sounds like a fly is humming a tune or something. She looks around for a second and finds that it's coming from this purple moss on the ground. So she leans down to listen closer when something jumps in her ear. She tries her best to get it out, but it's no use. And she starts to sing that same tune we heard just a second ago. The next morning, the girls wake up tired because Joe kept waking up because she was scared of the dark, which in turn woke up Janie because she was waking her up because she was scared of the dark. So they're both super tired. And Janie finds some dock leaves, which is supposed to get rid of the bags under your eyes and make you wake up faster. But when Joe tries it,
Ow!
turns out those dock leaves were actually poison ivy. Can't imagine rubbing poison ivy on your eyes. How would you even treat that? Janie was just so tired that she accidentally mistook the poison ivy for dock leaves. And now poor Joe is going to want to scratch her eyes out. Dent, in a very snarky way, calls over Miss Paxton,
Let's hope Paxton doesn't see this.
who punishes Janie by taking away her foraging badge. No, why? And this is when Joe finally notices that Arlene never made it back from the bathroom. It only took them 8 hours to notice. Janie tells Paxton the truth, that she went to the bathroom and they thought that maybe she just snuck back while they were still sleeping. So the Hedgehog Rangers split up into 2 groups and try to find Arlene.
Any questions? Right. Let's bring our Hedgehog Ranger home.
And after a while of searching, Janie decides it's best if everybody gets in a grid pattern and they all walk together to try to cover more area to find Arlene. Which is honestly really smart. But Dent points out that they've already been looking for a little while and nobody's doing this, so they could have missed her already. But Janie doesn't want to listen to her because Janie has a badge for finding people.
I have an emergency search badge. What do you have?
There's a badge for everything. There's a badge for everything. While looking, Janie pulls out some binoculars and she spots the other team, but they're acting a little strange. It looks like they also got a little too close to that purple moss, and whatever jumped into Arlene's ear is now inside theirs as well. Janie then pans over to Miss Paxton, who's just standing there, eerily. But when she pans back, the girls have been taken over. The other campers run and find Leader Paxton standing next to a water, not looking at them. They try to talk to her, but they get no response. But she is singing a familiar tune. Quickly, the uninfected girls run away. Well, they try to. 2 of them get stopped by the group that is infected, so they're goners. But Janie, Dent, Joe, and this other random girl do make it out okay.
Infected. Run.
So it looks like the random one was not okay. So the 3 of them run away until they find this abandoned campsite. They found an old Hedgehog Rangers campsite that was just left there to rot. And as they explore a little bit more, Janie tells the story of the Lidland Troop. The Lidland Troop were a group of Hedgehog Rangers that tried camping in these woods a long time ago. But when they came to camp, they were never seen again. Well, I think I know what happened to them. The girls look around a little bit to try to find any clues about what possibly could have happened. And while they're looking, they tell Joe to go out and keep a lookout for the infected girls. Dent finds an old notebook that has a few details about what's going on.
Look at this. They get in. What are they?
Dent and Janie try to figure out what the book is telling them, but they just can't figure it out. And they also find a sign on the side of the tent that reads,
Whatever you do, don't let them in.
And while on the lookout, Joe finds this cute little teddy bear. So obviously she picks up the bug-infested bear and this old lunchbox, which has a warning to not open it, but Joe doesn't see it because it's on the bottom of the lunchbox. What's with these people and putting important signs where people don't see them? I think you know what happens next. Her saying ow alerted Janie and Dent, so they go to check on her. All she can hear is this humming tune and a bunch of high-pitched noises, which made me want to rip my ears off.
And finally, Dent and Janie figure out what the notebook was trying to tell them all along.
At the expense of their friend Joe.
The girls run once again, and Janie starts to recite one of the Hedgehog Ranger protocols for alerting an adult to your location. But I don't think there's any adults out here in the woods. Neither does Dent, so she tries to call somebody on her cell phone, but There's no signal.
I could have told you that.
Janie talks about making a smoke signal and then goes on and on about the Ranger protocol and how nature is your friend and blah, 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 blah. I see why Dent wears headphones now.
Finally, Dent has had enough and tells Janie that Mother Nature isn't your friend, especially right now. Then she puts her headphones on and tries to walk away. But oh no, Janie is not having it this time. She is tired of Dent blocking out all her problems with music.
She says you can't run away from your problems and then says something super out of pocket.
You don't solve problems by burying them, like your mum did by putting you here.
That's crazy. That's insane. Janie wants them to find their way out of this using the Hedgehog Ranger way. They fight for just a second, which causes Dent's headphones to unplug, which makes her music play out loud.
Which is normal, but Janie's reaction to it is what's weird.
That's weird, right? Dent tells Janie that she can do things her own way, but she doesn't want to get infected by the other girls. And this is when something unexpected happens.
Please help me.
Looks like Janie is infected too. Apparently she's been hearing the tune since they were back at the tent. And she's been suppressing the tune because she believes she can stop it because she is a Hedgehog Ranger. You're a Girl Scout, dude. You're not a fucking Avenger. She's been doing a pretty good job at suppressing it, but now it's getting stronger and stronger and she doesn't think she can take it any longer. It starts getting a little too strong and, well...
La la la.
I think the little tune they sing is kind of like a signal to the other infected people because every camper just comes out of the woods and starts chasing Dent. Luckily, Dent runs into the van that they used to get here. She does find her way inside the van, but it's not really any useful because they may act like zombies, but they're smarter than regular zombies. They just open the back door and one by one slowly start coming inside. In a panic state, Dent remembers Janie's reaction to the music earlier. So she takes out her headphones, turns her phone all the way up and blasts rock music out loud, which causes every girl to freak out, but one by one, these little freaky bugs start crawling out of their ears, and they instantly die when they hit the floor. I guess you could say they were saved by the power of rock and roll. Oh yeah. Janie joins Dent in hopes of making the process go a little bit faster. And of course she listens to that kind of music that plays on HGTV whenever the Property Brothers finish a house. And finally, all the girls are saved. The girls gather around the van and take some time to sit down and relax because a lot just happened today. Dent apologizes to Janie for getting one of her badges taken away, which really wasn't even Dent's fault. She did give Joe poison ivy to rub on her eyes, so I think it's Janie's fault that happened. But Janie repays her by taking off one of her badges and giving it to her.
The Bravery Badge.
Oh, how sweet. But that's when we hear... Looks like Arlene is back, and she brought a few friends. Who are these friends, you may ask? The Lidland Troop. Somehow, a fungus, alien, bug-infested girl found these missing people that have been gone for over 30 years. Kind of insane that she could find it, but not actual human. And of course, the Hedgehog Rangers pull out their phones and try to save them. We cut back to the Curious, who is standing way too close to the purple moss, even with headphones on. You need to back away, bud. I care too much about you. He records their little tune and tries to keep it as a souvenir.
But as he does this, the narrator tells us,
don't fear the creatures that you are used to, because it's the ones you don't know.
Those mutants of Mother Nature.
Those are the ones that should keep you up at night. Then the Curious correctly labels the tape "Do Not Listen" on the front of the tape where people can read it. Was that so hard? So yes, our main character Dent goes on a short camping trip with these Girl Scout girls because her shitty mom wanted to go on a cruise. She gets paired up with her complete opposite, total opposite goody two-shoes second in command, Janie, who follows everything by the book and uses her amount of badges as a status symbol to show off that she is smarter than you, to fight off girls that have been infected by these alien worm things. And the only way to get those little aliens out is some rock and roll. And that's the end of the episode. I do like their kind of fresh take on the zombie thing. It's not like they get bit and then turn into like a dead person. It's reversible, very easily reversible. It's very interesting. Little alien parasite takes over your brain. That's always fun. I do want to say that both Dent and Janie are so insufferable. Oh my god. I had to watch this episode multiple times and I did not like either one of them any more than the last time I watched it. Sometimes you're like, okay, I see where Dent's coming from. Like she's making a good point. But Janie then turns into the asshole. And then sometimes Janie makes a good point. You're like, oh yeah, but then Dent becomes an asshole. And then you can't pick a side. They both suck. They both suck until the very end. I'm sorry. Let me know what you think about Bravery Badge in the comments below. Also, let me know any other Creepshow episodes you want to see me talk about. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get videos a day early, plus some bonus content and maybe some pictures of my cats. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.